everyone, thank you so much for checking in again. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alexandra, and I am basically going to talk about my story of my epilepsy. A lot of people have been asking me lately, how's it going? Is everything okay? And so far so good. I haven't had any issues. I've been under a lot of stress right now, and I've stayed pretty level with things. So I thought I would just go ahead, for those of you that don't know anything about epilepsy, give you kind of the lowdown, how I was diagnosed, what led to my diagnosis, being pregnant and having epilepsy, and all sorts of stuff like that. So if you would like to learn more, or just interested in my story, continue watching. Thank you. Okay, so first off, I would like to say thank you for continuing to watch. The type of epilepsy that I have is called juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. They determine different types of epilepsy depending on what it affects in your brain, and what kind of seizures do you have. Mine, I do not honestly know the technological terms for everything, so I'm just going to go off by what I have been told by my doctors. I have, like I said, juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. It mainly affects, like, the part of my brain also controls my neck, my shoulders, body parts, stuff like that. So when I have a seizure, a lot of the times my head goes this way, my arms go out, stuff like that. And it's just my arms that are just jerking. And it is also accompanied usually by what are called absence seizures, or some people pronounce it absence. I just call them absence because I'm literally absent for that minute or minute and a half that they occur. So that's the kind of seizures that I have. What kind of led to my diagnosis was when I was like 2 or 3, I had what are called febrile seizures. So that kind of has to do with like they were brought on by fevers or illnesses, stuff like that. And it's usually your body's way of cooling itself down. So I had, I think, 2 or 3 of those when I was like in the toddler age. And then I was okay for a couple of years. And then once I hit puberty, that's when I really started noticing a difference in things. I started noticing that, like, I would zone out for like a minute or two, especially if I was stressed or nervous about something. If I had to give a presentation at school, like, for example, I remember it was 7th grade social studies, and I was doing a presentation on, I don't even know what it was, but it was on some country, and I was doing a presentation, and all of a sudden I spaced out, and I couldn't remember what I was talking about. I didn't go full body seizure. My eyes just tend to kind of roll up towards the ceiling. Okay, hold on. My child has to go pee. Okay, sorry about that. My toddler needed a potty break while I was filming. But yeah, like I was saying, I was in the middle of a presentation, and that's pretty. I spaced out. My eyes kind of just like rolled up, and all I remember is when I came back to to like consciousness, everyone was staring at me. And I couldn't remember where I was at. I eventually could kind of get the feeling, I don't know if I actually picked up where I left off, but I tried to do. But I just remember them staring at me after I came to, and it was so embarrassing. But so that happened. I was having absence seizures all throughout puberty. When I was 15, I was a freshman in high school, and I did the home ec. I took the baby home, like they have you do, and I was doing awesome. I felt so confident about things. And then about Saturday night, I was sleeping, and I remember waking up that next morning and I had wet the bed. That is really embarrassing when you are 15 years old. I don't think I told a single soul until I was about 19, 20, after I was diagnosed, because I finally put 2 and 2 together too. Because at the time, we had just been chalking up the absence seizures to like just being a teenager. My mom had brought it up to my family doctor, and she didn't think anything of it. She never sent me for an EEG or an MRI or anything like that. So I did the home ec. I remember I got a 93 on the project, and my teacher stopped me and she was like, "You would have gotten a 100, but there was 2 full hours in the middle of the night where the baby cried and cried and you didn't do anything, and or like no action was taken." And so I kind of was like, well, that's weird. That's the night that I wet the bed. And so once again, we just thought, you know, hey, I was tired. I've never taken care of a child before. So I was just so tired, I didn't even get up to go pee, apparently, which is even more embarrassing. So I definitely didn't tell anyone that. And fast forward to when I was 19. At that time, I was out of high school. I was partying a lot. I had gone out one night and went to my very first college party, and I was yeah. Okay, sorry, I kind of cut out there. I wanted my daughter to be out of the room when I was talking about this. But I had gone to my very first college party. I was sexually assaulted by someone that I knew. I kind of felt like I was to blame because it was someone that I knew. And so I never pressed any charges or anything. And when I tried to tell people, I felt like they didn't believe me. So then I started to kind of wonder, you know, maybe I did bring it on myself. So I kind of kept it bottled up for, I think it was about a month, maybe not even that, maybe just a couple weeks. And it was Black Friday, and I had not gotten any sleep because my sister and I were going to go shopping and get some great deals. And about 5 o'clock in the morning, we stopped at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, we stopped at a Chick-fil-A inside the mall. I was waiting in line, and I'd started having like my little absence seizures, and over like the course of 10 minutes they became more frequent, and they lasted longer. So then I even remember the lady behind me tapped me on my shoulder, and she was like, "Ma'am, it's your turn." And I was just standing there, like I had no recollection of what was happening, what was going on around me. And I remember trying to order, and I could barely talk. I finally got it out because I obviously got food. So then I sat down and got my food, and I literally took my sandwich. I still remember looking at my hands and at the sandwich, and took it up to my mouth. And then the next thing I remember is looking over to my right or my left, because usually, like I said, it all depends on the part of your brain that it affects. So I was told that mine affects the right side or is controlled by the right side of my brain and has something to do with this side of my brain. So I looked left, and I remember there was a guy and his family, and he had a child with them, and he said the child with them saw me, like I was starting to act weird, and or I was starting to convulse, I think. And I heard the little boy say, "Mommy, what's wrong?" or "Daddy, what's wrong with her?" And he was like, oh, don't worry, she's just choking. And then after that, I just remember it fading to black like a movie. And I remember it like fading out. I was in the ambulance. I woke up in the ambulance one time, and the EMT was on top of me trying to get my vitals. And I think after everything that I had just been through, it scared me, and everything faded back to black. I woke up in the ER. My sister had called my mom, which every day I think about my mom getting that call, because that had to not be the easiest call to get. You never want to hear that your child is in the hospital, especially when they don't know what's going on. And I remember everyone, my whole family, my mom, my parents, my mom, my dad, my sisters, were all around me in the ER. I was just kind of in and out from that point on. Like I said, I had kept everything bottled up, and it was just a couple weeks before that this had happened. And I remember that they were about to wheel me out to do an MRI. And as protocol, they have to ask if you're pregnant, because they can't do certain testing if you're pregnant. And I remember reaching out for my mom and just looking at her and telling her, I said his name, and I said, he raped me. And I could see the look on my mom's face, and once again, everything just faded back to black. I still don't know if, every time I was fading in and out, I don't know if that was just me being so exhausted from the seizures, or if I was literally convulsing. Everything happened so fast. I was in the, I remember falling asleep in the MRI, because I remember the lady, or the voice thing coming in while I was in the machine, saying, "Ma'am, you need to stay awake. We need to get this test done, so you need to stay awake." And that was scary, because I had no control over it. And so once, I mean, I was out again, and apparently I had a really bad seizure. They couldn't get me to stop seizing. I was in the ICU for a day maybe, or just a couple of hours. And I remember my aunt, we used to be really close, and I remember she came in, and I was curled up in a ball facing my mom, which was on this side, who was on this side, and I remember my aunt came in, and I almost like barked it at her. I said, "He raped me," and because I was angry at that point. I was angry because then I felt like I didn't say it enough. So everyone that came in to visit me, I just blurted it out, because I kept it in so long that it was causing this, and it was causing everyone around me pain, and because I didn't know what was going to happen with me. So I was just angry, and the next thing I knew, I woke up in the hospital bed, and another hospital bed. I was downgraded from ICU and got changed to another one, and at that point my friends could come and visit, and that was an awesome moment. And for those that came to visit, I will be eternally grateful for you, because that meant the world. That was probably my lowest point in life. But from there on, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. It wasn't until like about a year or two later I found out what type of epilepsy I had, because it does take some time to figure out. There's EEGs that have to be done. There's all different tests that have to be done. But I was pretty much at that point, they had told me, you know, kids are not a good fit for someone that has epilepsy. And yeah, you can come in now. And ever since I was, hey baby, ever since I was a little kid, you can ask my parents and my sisters, I always wanted a huge family. So getting that devastating news, that basically if you do get pregnant, your body and stuff could harm the child that you are making. That's not always easy. But at the time I was 19, and I was kind of like, I'm not ready for kids. And even though Charlotte was a surprise pregnancy, I was so happy. I don't think I've ever been happier in my entire life than when I was pregnant. It was just, they did switch my medications, because I was on Depakote while I was not pregnant. And then once I became pregnant, they did tell me that Depakote is, there's different classes of medication that are better or worse for pregnancy. None of the epilepsy medications are good for epilepsy. They don't work well with pregnancy, but there's lower risk ones. So they put me on a lower risk one that could also treat my seizures, and that was Lamictal. I did have quite a few breakthrough seizures, but I did have a grand mal one in like 5 or 6 months pregnant with her. But everything was fine, everything was safe. I pretty much had I felt very fortunate. I had a pretty much easy sailing pregnancy. And birthing was, I did opt for the epidural. I wanted to be less stressed while I was giving birth. That way I wouldn't run the risk of having a seizure while I was giving birth. I know that sounds crazy for anyone that doesn't have epilepsy, but birthing is stressful enough, I feel like. I mean, you're bringing a child into the world. And will you please close that door? Thank you. And yeah, it's really cold outside. And so I just wanted to be able to enjoy it and not have it a scary experience for everyone. So how I am today is everything is pretty controlled. I don't have too many seizures. It's not unless I'm like super stressed or haven't been getting sleep at all that it's really bad. So everything has been pretty okay. I will put in the link below the link to the foundation, the Epilepsy Foundation. They do tons of stuff across America, which is awesome. It also has tips on first aid for someone if you're having seizures, different stuff like that. So thank you for taking the time to hear my story. I hope in the future that if you experience a seizure yourself or know someone that is having seizures, you just be kind to them, because it's a scary moment. Just try to remain calm, that's all I can say, because when you get out of that seizure, even if everything is going great in your life and you have a seizure right in the middle of it, it's a scary moment, and emotions run high. So just be kind and caring, that's all I ask. But yeah, so that is my story. If you would like to hear anything else by me, or have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. As always, thank you for tuning in. Have a nice day.